And we are back for more Minecraft with fish collection. Oh, fuck off. Yeah, true. We are. With some more Minecraft. God damn it! Fuck that. Let's see. Yeah, the race have done something in. Well, first we should write down 1719, I believe. 1719. 1719, yes. Right. Like that. But the race had done something about Fernando Alonso, dire warning for Aston Martin and front team. Yeah. God damn. I don't know what that is. I've not heard anything what Fernando Alonso apparently said, but A, the race don't make stuff up. They're probably talking the truth. Then we have Autosport done something. F1 2024 most interesting tech upgrade so far. And then we'll apparently do, let's see, Mercedes, Ferrari, McLaren, Red Bull, Aston Martin. And F1's rear wing loopholes. And beginning and last F1 tech. So yes. And also the race, the podcast. Then I don't know if anything more will happen. But yeah, back to collecting some fishes. Oh, here we have the first one for today. Snooper light grey lime. Let's see. Yeah, you can place that down. This is fucking part of the new music. Oh, one more fish for the collection. And blackfish. Blockfish brown light blue. Oh, one more. Man, 3 in the start. Dasher red purple. Man, this is, I don't know, almost one of the best beginnings ever. 3 tropical fishes that can be part of the collection. Probably not, but who knows. Yeah, let's continue swimming. Let's see. Oh shit. God damn it, got some allergic reaction, but now I can hopefully have no more problems. Can we find? Can you see the new tropical fish for the collection? See, yeah, let's see. Oh, one more fish for the collection. Betty Black Red. Less than 2 days until practice in Formula 1 will happen, I think. Let's see. Is that really... can we go to information place? Oh yeah, it's 100% less than 2 days. It's 1 day and 8 hours. Until the practice will start. Before that will probably Formula 3B and then Formula 2. Well, usually Formula 3, qualifying for Formula 3, practice for Formula 2, qualifying for Formula 2, and then one more fish for the collection. Can we get one more? And hopefully Ferrari will be good next race. So it will be maybe a fight between Red Bull and McLaren again, and then third best will Ferrari be. One more fish for collection and Dasher 100% brown. Fuck me. Feel like the allergic stuff is coming back. But yeah, let's see. Oh no, this is the wrong one. Here we have the right one. Let's see what they have to say about Fernando Alonso. Dire warning to Aston Martin.
Fernando Alonso has fired a warning shot at the underperforming Aston Martin team. It's time to work harder, to talk less, to deliver more, he said after a pointless Spanish Grand Prix.
Is that dire warning to Aston Martin? No, I don't believe that.
He's not expecting things to go better in Austria either. He anticipates the Red Bull Ring will be a painful track for Aston Martin because of the long corners and high-speed sections. Fundamental to its problems is a shortfall of fine control of the floor performance under a rule set that yields significant downforce when close to the ground. So why, only 2 months after committing his long-term Formula 1 future to Aston Martin, has Alonso drawn attention to the team's travails so publicly? F1 is all about...
You can say he's maybe not happy with the results. I mean, from getting podiums to not getting podiums to now not even getting points.
Performance, and he's not happy with the steps being delivered by the team's upgrades. This has been a problem for Aston Martin for some time. Rivals like McLaren, Mercedes and Ferrari have made bigger steps, and too often Aston Martin is slipping behind midfield contenders like RB, Alpine and Williams as its form waxes and wanes with track characteristics. And Spain, where Alonso qualified 11th and finished 12th, was one of its weaker tracks. That's why Alonso is calling on Aston Martin to prove that it can bring new parts to the car that deliver exactly as expected and allow it to close the aerodynamic deficit to the leading teams. The pressure is on, given the vast sums of money Lawrence Stroll, who heads the consortium that owns the team, has invested. It has a new state-of-the-art factory, a cutting-edge wind tunnel that will be complete.
I mean, when everything is maybe in place, they will probably maybe more easily make a better car.
By the end of the year, a vastly expanded workforce, the Honda partnership in place for 2026.
At least they will be ready when the Honda stuff comes. Oh shit. Let's go. Fuck me. So much allergic stuff. Okay, let's continue the the dire Alonso warning for Aston Martin. I mean, at least it will be maybe done when Honda is coming. So that's maybe something somewhat good.
It's a long way short of achieving its objectives. These were laid out by Stroll when the team first became Aston Martin Racing in 2021, when he set a timescale of 3 to 5 years for emerging as a genuine frontrunner. However,
I mean, he was somewhat right. At least, what year was that? 2023. Yeah, it must be 2023. He was somewhat right. But not anymore.
you count the years, time is running out to hit that objective, as this is the 4th season of Aston Martin and the 6th full season since he took control of the ailing Force India team in the summer of 2018.
Oh, you can say the race Esteban Ogone won. Sebastian Vettel could finish P2, or he did finish P2, but then didn't have enough whatever they have in the car to make it drive. So the FIA needs some fuel left so they can look at. They couldn't get anything out, so they got disqualified. And then we have the Baku race when Lewis Hamilton made a magic happen when Perez won. Then Sebastian Vettel was P2 and Gasly P3. So at least these two races with Sebastian Vettel, there was you can say somewhat a front runner team. And yeah, but after that, only 2003, the beginning of it.
18. The investment has been spectacular and the recruitment aggressive, but while progress has been made, it's stuttering. That's inevitably led to fears that Stroll's patience is being tested. Team principal
Stroll special. Are we talking about Lance Stroll? I hopefully think they're talking about Lance Stroll, so he can leave and so Yuki Tsunoda can then join the Aston Martin team super easy. Or even better, Lawrence Stroll can also leave. That makes so then the person that will take over Aston Martin can finally kick Lance Stroll out from Formula 1.
Mike Crack, a rational, calm leader who is held in high regard with many who have worked closely with him.
Oh my god, can everyone in Aston Martin then maybe mention if Lance Stroll was ever good in the Aston Martin team? I mean, every time someone mention Lance Stroll to someone in Aston Martin, it always is talking good of the driver all the time. That is equally good as Alonso, or even sometimes better than Alonso. Yeah, sure, fucking sure. That's a fucking lie.
Off those concerns recently. He didn't deny Stroll is impatient for success, but stressed that the team owner is realistic about the timescales involved for improving and making parts. Those parts Crack referenced are in the pipeline, and that's something Alonso is positive about. We'll come back to that shortly. But while Aston Martin stresses with some justification that it is still in the building phase and the potential is huge, when measured against the original timeline laid out by its owner, it is not keeping pace. That disconnect is at the heart of
will we see the timeline? Oh shit. I wanna see the timeline. Okay, fuck me. It doesn't look like we will be seeing that. Aston Martin timeline. Aston Martin F1 timeline. Can we? Okay. That don't give any good research and good information. Maybe Lance Stroll's, no, Lawrence Stroll. Lawrence Stroll Aston Martin F1 timeline. Can that work? Yeah, launch on when he was born. Yeah, I don't fucking care. Man, what the fuck should I shirt on? Oh, Lance Stroll addresses where he's had at over 2025. Okay, doesn't seem like I can find information. So hopefully the race will actually give it. Probably not.
Criticism the team gets, no matter how much crack, who it should be noted didn't lay out the timeline as it was set before he joined at the start of 2022.
One more shift. 100% light blue glitter. Yeah. Nice. One more fish for the collection. The 1719 big collection. So it's 181. 81, 200, 981 more fishes need to be collected. Yeah, continue the race with your good reporting of this problem.
Defends the team's current situation. And it's that, combined with the unconvincing progress relative to the rest of the field, that inevitably raises questions. There's been plenty of talk of Ferrari's Enrico Cardile potentially joining the team, as well as the inevitable courting of Adrian Newey. Both would be impressive appointments. Newey potentially game...
It will, but man, come on, Adrian Newey, join Williams. Bring back Williams, where it once was. I mean, the hype to join Williams will be, I mean, James Boggs, I believe, have made somewhat hype. But if any new also join Williams, I mean, the hype will be even bigger. Who wouldn't wanna join the old Williams team to bring them back, be part of the team when they start, I mean, maybe winning a race. I mean, first podiums and then a race. Doing like McLaren doing now. The fuck? The zombie killed this pufferfish. Oh man, come on. I'm gonna help you kill your friend's killer. Don't kill me. Oh my god. You're fucking dying. Come on, heal me up. Does it look like the friend want to kill his friend's killer? He just want to kill me. So mean. But man, they will. I mean, what's more interesting? Joining Aston Martin or joining Williams if you're any newbie?
Game changing if deployed correctly.
I would say 100% Williams, but hey.
Aston Martin is obviously evasive, but when we asked Crack about the possibility of new arrivals, he talked of the need to be open to the possibility of new recruits. But if Aston Martin is evaluating senior technical appointments, you have to ask what that says about the view on the current leadership. Newey may be the closest thing to a magic bullet in F1 and wouldn't be the day-to-day technical lead at the coalface, but integrating someone like Cardile could be more disruptive. Dan Fallows was recruited from Red Bull at great expense as technical director, and the project initially started well under him, as we'll outline properly in a moment, but the pressure is building given the recent struggles. Alonso's words have added to that. So before we get into what's to come, let's dig into what's happened over the past 18 months.
Oh! We will get, let's see, what kind of information we will get. Wasted promise. 2024 struggles, Hungary optimist. So, okay, where's the promise? Let's see. This way's the promise. Go away. Is that when Lance Stroll is driving the car? They talk about the Lance Stroll is good and then no points. Or low points. He's fighting for the 1 point position. Three more seconds. No, one more ad. That can get skipped. Don't kill me, pufferfish.
It wasn't long ago that Aston Martin catapulting to near the front of the field was one of the big talking points in F1.
Yeah, that's... Man, that was so beautiful to see. Aston Martin with the Mercedes engine up there, better than Mercedes. So one more fish, Cobb Red Pig. And soon I need to put them in the Schulke box. And he maybe Alonso could have won the Monaco 2023 race. But man, this was beautiful.
Alonso finished on the podium in 6 of the first 8 races in 2023 and was regularly the closest challenger to Red Bull. After 8 races, Aston Martin was 3rd in the Constructors' Championship and would have been 2nd but for Lance Stroll contributing only 37 points to Alonso's 117. Having banked a massive 154 points in the first 8 races, Aston Martin only managed 126 over the remaining 14 events. It fell to 5th in the Constructors' Championship as a result. Now, to be fair to Aston Martin, we have to stress its point scoring early in 2023 was aided by the underachievement of bigger rivals.
Yeah, Mercedes was bad, Ferrari was bad, McLaren was super bad.
Mercedes had slow starts to the season, while McLaren struggled badly until a series of upgrades transformed it into a front runner. But Aston Martin floundered at the same time as the competition improved. The car started 2023 very strong in the slow stuff and not so good in the quick bits, but attempts to widen that performance window were not entirely successful. Upgrades made the car harder to drive, at times costing the drivers confidence. The car still worked well at slow tracks, with Alonso taking an outstanding 2nd place at Zandvoort. And late in the season, once Aston Martin had understood some of the problems it introduced and hit on a workable mix and match spec, Alonso took another podium finish with 3rd at Interlagos after that sensational to-the-line battle with Sergio Perez. Encouragingly, Aston Martin's average deficit across the final 3 races was similar to where it was at the start of the season, meaning it looked like the storm had been weathered. The key question was whether the lessons of 2023 had been learned to ensure a repeat of the same problems could be avoided. Aston Martin started this season solidly, dicing with Mercedes to be 4th fastest and picking
100% light grey. A snooper. Superstar. Super. Bum, 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 bum. Yeah, we can start placing down some of the fishes. How many? 12 more.
Picking up top 6 finishes in 3 of the first 4 races. Now, that's not as good as last year, but the pace deficit to the front was similar to the same phase of last season, so that was a solid if unspectacular start. However, the form has since dropped off, and that's what's most concerning. In the first 5 races, Aston Martin was always among the top 4 fastest cars on single lap pace. Since that...
Man, they went down. Mercedes going up and down again. I'm like, they should not be up here. Like, this is copium. Like, this is how every Mercedes fan are coping, where they think Mercedes have always been up here, when they are more likely up here, or down here. Sometimes maybe here, but mostly And I mean, this could continue for 2025. And who knows, maybe even 2026. I mean, I feel like, shouldn't you be more optimistic that McLaren and Ferrari will be up there than talking about Mercedes will up there? Also, one more fish for the collection. But let's see, light. Oh fuck me! One more little light blue. Fucking boring. Why? Why do you give me one more light blue? That's so mean. Hopefully this is the first little light blue I got, so it's not like I already have one in collection. So this is two wasted instead of just one wasted.
Then it's bounced between 5th and 9th. While there was a mini revival in Canada where Aston Martin had its biggest haul of the season with 14 points, that was because the Montreal track favoured the car characteristics.
And
Yes.
Ferrari wasn't up there, they scored 0 points. What more? Hey, let's see. Oh my god, fucking what have I done? So allergic on something. My nose is like fucking killing me. Results. Let's see. Is it just because Ferrari wasn't there? Let's see. Oh, and sorry, Paris wasn't up here either. Red Bull, McLaren, Mercedes. Yeah, McLaren, Red Bull, Mercedes. Then Aston Martin. Yeah, Yuki Tsunoda wasn't up here either. So Ferrari was gone, Yuki Tsunoda was gone. Sorry, Paris was gone. So that's the reason why they got so many points that race.
Aston Martin doesn't enjoy long corners. That's partly because it simply doesn't have enough downforce. Now, downforce is easy enough to generate with the powerful Venturi tunnels in the floor. What's more difficult is controlling that and achieving a good balance covering high and low speed corners. That's something Aston Martin has been...
I just remembered the title is Fernando Alonso dire warning for Aston Martin's F1 team, and it's like his warning was like in the beginning, rarely, what do you say? It was just a statement that we should do better. I don't know if that's a dire warning, but everything else is nothing about it. So what I click the title, it doesn't say anything.
battling to improve for the past 18 months. There has been a trend of characteristics worsening in unexpected ways when upgrades have been tried. It has made gains, as performance director Tom McCulloch said.
Oh yeah, fucking Mercedes have also made gains. Man, it fucking looked pink. Not a new fish for the collection.
The car is a different world to last year's, but everyone is improving. The Aston Martin was almost 19th.
Yeah, everyone say it about Mercedes. What they're improving? Where are they? 4th best team. Oh, like they have always been. Is that really an improvement if they're still equally bad as where they were before? I would say yes, but maybe other people would say
It's a second faster in
could be.
qualifying in Spain than it was last year. The trouble is, others are improving at a faster rate, meaning Aston Martin is going
More
backwards.
fish for the
The
collection.
consistent problem has been upgrades creating undesirable characteristics. As Alonso says, the car behaved very differently at the start of the season in Bahrain, but started to change when the first significant upgrade was introduced in Japan that featured changes to the floor and side pods. It's this lack of steady, fruitful upgrades that hit the track, can be well understood, and work broadly as anticipated that points to weaknesses in Aston Martin's understanding of the underlying science of these admittedly tricky ground effect cars.
Hitta topprankade produkter till priser du kommer älska.
Well,
Sök efter
it
vad
will
du
be
än
soon
behöver
done.
på Amazon.se idag.
Nya Rexona Advanced Protection aktiveras
God damn it, one more.
Så oavsett hur varm du blir skyddar Rexona effektivt mot lukt och svett. Rexona Advanced
3, 2,
Protection skyddar dig i 2 timmar.
0.
Fortunately, there is a reason for hope. Alonso hinted at a breakthrough in understanding that could mean the upgrade that is set to
Oh
appear
shit, Mercedes have also had a breakthrough, they say. Yeah. And they succeeded to finish P3. So they can... so third best team for one race. Let's see if they will still be that in Austria or Silverstone.
for the Hungarian Grand Prix before the summer break is a significant step. He indicates the team is at last more confident in its understanding of its problems and how to
Fuck
tackle.
me, so the same thing what the people in Mercedes say. To know what the problem is, surely we knows how to fix it.
Them than in previous months. That is a ray of hope. When I asked Crack about Alonso's comments after the Spanish Grand Prix, he said that he shared the optimism on the basis that the results in the wind tunnel and when using other simulation methods are encouraging. Whether all of that optimism will be delivered on with the Hungary update is another question, as there's always a race against time to get parts produced. But McCulloch, a hugely accomplished engineer who knows what he's talking about, says Aston Martin has a clearer idea of what it needs to do now than previously. The trouble is, unlike, say, McLaren, which has been able to clearly articulate its problems and hit publicly stated targets in tackling them, Aston Martin has always been vague on the reasons for its weaknesses and evasive in how they are being.
I don't know if Mercedes tried to be vague, but everything, I mean, they didn't know, so they can't say. But they, because of that, they are, in a sense, vague on what problems they have, because they can't say it.
Being addressed beyond the assurance that they are, even by the standards of a secretive F1 paddock, which makes you wonder whether they are well understood. As one of the most reticent and guarded teams in the paddock, it projects an image of a team that just isn't honest enough with itself in all areas, and given that's a historic strength of the team formerly known as Jordan, that's a concern. Ultimately, performance will tell us whether Aston Martin really does understand and knows how to harness the vastly bolstered power of its team. And given Alonso is piling on the public pressure while claiming to be confident, it's hard to...
The public pressure. Just saying that... Oh! Let's see. Clayfish. 100% brown. Yep. Clayfish 100% brown. One more fish for the collection and one more. And then, like I say, I wouldn't say pressure, I wouldn't say it's dire warning, I wouldn't say anything. I would say just stating like, we should do better. I feel like that's just 2 more fishes for the collection. But I feel like that it's the same thing with Lewis Hamilton when he's talking about Mercedes should be better. They should do the car better. Is that also a dire warning? Well, he is leaving the team, so maybe that's the most dire warning. How bad the team maybe is.
To imagine he won't make his displeasure clear if once again upgrades don't deliver what they should. The team has realised that the original timeline was optimistic and stresses that it is still in a building phase as its new campus is far from complete and 2026 is the logical focal point given the arrival of Honda, and the clean sheet of paper rules-wise presents a big opportunity. But as Crack says, any set timeline has to be treated with caution because progress is not always linear.
And hopefully Yuki Tsunoda also be joined. And Lance Stroll out.
But what is concerning is that this team is in roughly the same place in terms of competitiveness as it was in the closing stages of 2022, when it was generally the 6th best team. It doesn't have to be winning right now, but the imminent upgrades need to re-establish it as a consistent Q3 regular and start the process of inching towards the top 4 teams.
Yeah, true.
If this pattern of disappointing upgrades continues and the performance relative to the opposition does not improve as a result, it's easy to imagine a scenario where Lawrence Stroll questions even more forcefully the stagnation and seeks to take corrective action.
Maybe we should waste more money. Like, pay Lance Stroll even more. Maybe we'll drive the car even better then. Or even more interesting. Start saying that if you don't do any good in the races, Lance Stroll, you will actually be out. We need quality, not my son. Yeah, okay, we're done. We're done. Let's see. Then we have the podcast. I feel like we should maybe continue with. Because the other stuff there was think about, the Autosport stuff, could maybe be 100% more perfect to do the place it down the fishes in the collection room. And here we have it. How McLaren threatened Red Bull in F1 2024 Spanish Grand Prix, and how much Mercedes have not threatened Red Bull since 2021 Saudi Arabia, or you can say Abu Dhabi, but McLaren, Red Bull won that, so Saudi Arabia is maybe more correct to say.
The Athletic.
And the race is on.
The race is on, and Max Verstappen won again, keeping at bay a charging Lando Norris in the final.
Yeah, and Mercedes has still not won. Hi.
Was this back to business as usual on a conventional track, or has the Spanish Grand Prix proved that Red Bull really is under pressure? I'm Ed Straw, and joining us to tell all,
I'm under pressure. You can somewhat guess. But the pressure need to be so much greater. Like jag menar, McLaren need a race when nothing ruined the race. Canada, Logan Sargent with the safety car ruined Norris race. This race in Spain, George Russell ruined Lando Norris race. So I would say that the Formula 1 have more pressure on McLaren than McLaren have on Red Bull.
Hughes and Ben Anderson. Well, Ben, we'll come to you first. I'll ask you how you're doing, even though I've been
so
driving you around all weekend. A relatively rare appearance these days for you at the track for the weekend, although obviously you've got vast paddock experience in F1. So how did you enjoy it?
Yes, I enjoyed it very much. The chauffeuring was a bit sketchy at times, I have to say, but I'm still in one piece. We made it to the circuit every day. We had some decent Spanish weather, and we had a very, very interesting and intriguing Grand Prix weekend as well.
Well, that's the...
We could have had. We didn't have it. George Russell ruined what could have been an interesting race. And thanks to him, it wasn't an interesting race. Fuck me. My nose is so...
Really, really good thing. And just to clarify, Mark, even though Ben's complaining...
fuck this. We need to go away again. Holy fuck. Didn't pause. Oh shit! I'm dying from... Nah, that could have been bad. God damn it! Oh my god. That was close. Now we need to maybe remember when I almost died. Okay, back to the video. And hopefully I will have no more problems.
About my driving. At no stage did I go up a one-way street the wrong way, as I was doing in Austin multiple times the other year. So,
Yeah,
so you haven't missed out on anything too terrifying.
So he's
No, you're making
improving then,
progress.
you would say.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's what it's all about. Me and Logan Sargent all making progress towards inevitable.
Wait, what? Logan Sargent? Doing what?
Inevitable driving fate. But anyway, but it was interesting, wasn't it, Mark? It was. We hoped that it might be a bit closer than we thought it might be, and it absolutely was. So that this is all very intriguing. So lots to get
it's
into.
fucking already
Yeah.
back.
It,
me.
Yeah, it really was promising a lot on Friday, and in the
Yes, it did. And then who fucking ruined everything? Josh Russell.
Saturday FP3 even, it was looking like there were 4 teams in it. As it turned out, when it came to the really important stuff, Norris and Verstappen in the McLaren and Red Bull pulled a decisive margin out over the others. But their particular struggle lasted, right away from Q3 until the flag at the end of the race, and it was a very, very interesting comparison. And it answered one of the questions that we all had coming into this weekend, with this being such a classically aerodynamically demanding circuit. Would it mean that the Red Bull would re-establish its early superiority? And the answer to that is a resounding no. It still was the fastest through the fast corners, but over the lap, the balance of the McLaren made it probably the better car, certainly the more flexible car, and Red Bull having all sorts of drama trying to get the car into its sweet spot, a little bit like at Imola, changing the wing level on the eve of qualifying, and really having to pull a rabbit out of the hat to get it to somewhere near its peak potential pace. And then in the race, it won the race within seconds of the start, simply because of the way the choreography played out between Verstappen
Yeah, or that George Russell ruined everything.
and Lando's, and with George Russell complicating things by going around the outside of them both.
True.
And that turned out to be absolutely the crucial element in separating out Verstappen and Norris. I think whichever one of those two had been ahead of the other one coming out of turn 1 would have won the race. It was really as close as that.
Maybe not that bad, but George Russell ruined everything to make anything else happen.
Yeah, that was exactly the great thing to see. I asked Andrea Stella, the McLaren team principal, after the race what he thought, all things being equalised, the relative pace was, and he felt
Oh,
that
the fuck
Norris
have we
and
done?
Verstappen, much of a muchness. So let's just dig a little bit into the way the race played out, as we often start off with, Mark. You sort of
Fuck
talked about the big
happened?
picture stuff there, but obviously there was some strategic intrigue, wasn't there? So once Verstappen was ahead, can you just explain how Norris's attempts to try and get back into it worked out?
Yeah, well, Verstappen put that very early pass on, very aggressive early pass on Russell, going into lap 3, and he used the Red Bull's fantastic grip through that final corner, that flat-out final corner, to get a really good run on him.
What the, yeah, he had the new tires. The fuck do you mean? Oh my god, fuck this. Oh my god. The fuck is happening? shit, and we are back again with hopefully no more problems, but man, I feel like we will have a lot of problems. Oh, fuck me. Continue.
And when the Red Bull's tyre advantage was at its greatest, the Red Bull's very, very good early in the stint. The McLaren was very strong later in the stint. So with the...
Oh yeah, what they were saying, like, Max Verstappen had new tires, and Lando Norris have old tires. Also, one more fish for the collection. And one more. And 3 more, and then the Schulke box is full.
Tyre advantage at its maximum. Max put a really decisive pass on Russell. Russell didn't fight it. You seem to be expecting it.
One more.
Norris reasoned at that moment, sitting in third place, he knew his fight was not with Russell. Ultimately, it was with Max. But he reasoned that trying to put a pass like that on Russell in the McLaren, which its speed profile was slightly different to that of the Red Bulls, was not going to help him. His best way of doing it was just to look after his tyres as best he could, so they could run long, which was always the plan. They were always going to run long, even if they started, even if they led into the first corner, and in that way, have the tyre advantage later on. So he was just sort of biding his time. And it was Mercedes that pulled the plug first, because they reasoned that there's no point trying to go out longer than a faster car, i.e. Norris. You definitely lose the position that way. So they came in to defend against that. That was very early, lap 15. And Hamilton followed in on the next lap. And so with Max, then they were, the tyre deg was so high that the new tired cars were going a lot faster even than Max. So as that was happening, Norris was catching Verstappen very quickly, and that's where we saw the McLaren's end of stint speed for the first time. And so in order to defend against that, Red Bull brought Verstappen in on a very early lap 17, really, for what was going to be a two-stop race. And that was perfect for Norris to try and limit the damage of the time he'd lost to Russell, because it allowed him to do that long stint, stayed out an extra 6 laps after Verstappen, which gave him that big tyre advantage. Now, that also meant...
Yeah, sadly it didn't lead to anything. It would be so amazing if it did. Or that who knows, Norris didn't use the new tires in the beginning and could maybe have done it with the old tires. So when he did the last pit stop, he had new tires that he could use even more to get closer to Max Verstappen.
Of course, that
and maybe win.
He'd been undercut by the Mercs and the Ferraris, but the deg is so high here that the difference in pace would be fine. When he was asked, "Do you want to cover those guys off?" and he said, "No, let's concentrate on doing what's best to try and race Max." So that's what happened. But unfortunately, it did take a while to get past those cars, especially George, who was put up a hell of a defence in that second stint. And it was great racing, but it did sort of cost a lot of
great
tyre life
racing
for them both.
Yeah,
but
sure.
yet again, as soon as Norris got up to second place, he was way faster than Max, and it looked like his end of stint advantage was maybe 8/10, something like that.
Also, this we can also say, I don't know when Max Verstappen started to actually drive good, but Lando Norris in the hand didn't catch him, getting closer. So it's like maybe Max Verstappen could have been faster.
And
but
so
that will maybe ruin his tires even more. So
the same thing played out over again with Red Bull bringing Verstappen in a bit earlier. Norris running a little bit longer, then coming back out, having lost a bit of time due to the undercut effect, and then just chasing. But it was all under control by Max and Red Bull by that point. They had track position, and that's all they really needed to have. So I think Norris was adamant after the race. We had the fastest car today. It was all decided at the start.
Yeah, thanks to George Russell. Thank him.
Seemed to be thinking,
for making
we're good in certain
boring
corners,
race.
but there are other corners where we're just not, and we're certainly not able to look after the tyres as well as their car. Now, how much of that is how each of those two drivers decided to do their races, and how much is the car traits is up for debate. And I know McLaren's Andre Stella reckons there's very little difference, and it was just down to the circumstances. But I'd say, looking at the pattern of the races in Miami and Imola, there's very strong evidence to suggest that the McLaren's tyre usage is considerably better than the Red Bulls in terms of race stints. So that's what.
Oh yeah, that I would say. This under pressure, McLaren can make Red Bull be under pressure in some races. Probably not every race, but they will be up there close. And some races they will actually maybe do some pressure. But most likely they will not do any pressure.
And I think, had Norris come out of that first turn ahead of Max, we would have seen quite an interesting race between them. You would have seen Max really pushing hard early in the stint to try and get Norris to do something. But then as the pit window opened, Norris, it would have been coinciding roughly with when Norris's pace advantage would be building, so he'd probably have been able to pull himself out of undercut range and would have been able to control the race from the front just as Verstappen.
Oh, that would be so amazing seeing Lando Norris lead every lap.
So the traits of the two cars was not as significant as what happened at the start in determining the outcome.
It says a lot about how much this season has evolved since the early stages. That we used to, when we asked you how the race played out, and if you talked about the race at the front, it was like, well, Verstappen was in the quickest car and he was just comfortably ahead, but there was so much nuance and detail in there. But what I thought really stood out is almost the fact it was so condensed at the front worked against that duel, because obviously, Ben, we saw George Russell made that great start, swooped around the outside. He said he'd actually sort of worked on that one before and practiced it a little bit on the recce laps, even trying to go around the outside. So what did you make of the way that the actual start bit, and how George Russell kind of made himself the confounding factor in, well, both of the top two's race, but primarily Lando Norris's?
Yeah, it was a decisive moment. I mean, Russell said he'd taken inspiration from Fernando Alonso's fourth to first start at the 2012 Spanish Grand Prix. So he'd obviously done his homework, and as you mentioned, practiced that particular move. Obviously, the front two were very focused on each other, and as often happens when two people are very focused on each other, it allows someone else to steal around. I think...
Oh shit. Go away, we don't need ads. Go away. Oh, one more ad. Now we can go back to the video.
Norris was overly harsh on himself about the start. His actual initial launch was quite good, but we know that Red Bull, and this is all about those absolutely tiny details that can make a difference when it's become so close. Red Bull have done so much work on the starts, making sure every phase of the launch is really strong and as strong as it can be. It does look like they're still a step ahead there compared to McLaren.
One more
and
fish for the collection.
You saw that played out in those early yards as Verstappen came at Norris in the second phase, and that ultimately allowed him to get down the inside into turn one. Yes, Russell was a confounding factor, but the crucial thing was Verstappen getting ahead of Norris into turn 1. And then the second crucial thing was that Verstappen, I think with Red Bull's characteristics being slightly more biased towards the high speed and a bit less drag, maybe, was able to nail Russell as soon as the DRS was available, get ahead, and build a buffer. Norris couldn't attack Russell in the same way, and so
ruined his race.
Then figure how the race might have played out without the confounding factor of Russell. Well, Verstappen probably would have passed Norris into turn 1, and then it would have been a straight fight between, as Mark said, Red Bull's early stint pace and McLaren's later stint pace.
It would have been so amazing to see, and we didn't.
It did look like the McLaren was kinder, but I still felt like, you know, Red Bull is usually a bit quicker in race trim than it is in qualifying trim, and I still felt like Max had some in reserve. We just never got to see that obviously play out in a straight fight. If Norris had been ahead all the way, I think he probably would have won the race. Yes, just because of how well the McLaren looked after its tyres on a high-deg track. Verstappen would have had to attack him early, but of course the Red Bull being so good in race trim, he might have been able to overtake Norris on track. I feel like if Norris had been chasing Max, I don't think the McLaren's characteristics would have allowed him, without a mistake, to have passed.
Maybe not, but at least it will be an amazing fight.
Verstappen on track for the
more amazing than we saw now.
There was one thing about the start from Norris that I thought was really impressive, and it might be a little bit counterintuitive. Obviously, he actually got a really good initial launch. Second phase, a bit of wheel spin. The Red Bulls were really good in the second phase with Verstappen. But actually, there was a point when they're heading down to the first corner, and obviously Russell had initially been on the right of the track, and then he kind of worked his way across and just managed to slip sort of behind the rear left of Norris and ahead of the Ferrari that was
went around the blind side, basically, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly. But what I thought was really impressive was Norris found himself going down towards that first corner, approaching it, and he was in the middle lane, and I was watching it, and I remember saying, you sat by me, I said, oh, there's going to be a collision here.
Because yes, there usually is, isn't there?
What it needed is for one of them, and it had to be the one in the middle lane to back out and be sensible. And I think it was very, very good that Norris, he knew that the start had gone a bit against him, but he had the wisdom, as Andrea Stella called it.
And
you know, people say, oh, he was too conservative. No, nothing good would have come from Norris not backing out of that.
Yeah, it was a shove.
He did well to back out, ensure that he consolidated third and live to fight another day. And ideally, you wouldn't want to be in that position, but I thought that was good racecraft from Norris. You often talk about, you know, it's about making those decisions, risk versus reward. Russell made a good calculation. Asked him how high risk he thought it was, given Norris did have to lift off, and he said, "No, I planned this. This was right on the money. I knew this was going to work."
The way he went into turn 1, you could tell as
exactly,
well. It wasn't one of these kind of gung-ho Sergio Perez Mexico type moves.
No, it was completely controlled,
Yeah, really under control.
I thought that was outstanding from Russell, but very...
Yeah, control. Not at all close to maybe hitting a Ferrari when he drove from right to left. And if Lando Norris didn't see him and just brake late also, what will then happen? Oh yeah. It will be like Perez then. Fuck off, you fucking retard.
Do you know what? I'm just going to end up with damage in the runoff along with George Russell and possibly Verstappen. Chances are Verstappen would have just driven off.
But you just know if he hadn't been so circumspect, Verstappen would have just disappeared to victory while Norris and Russell ended up in a heat.
Ended up in a heat with bits hanging off the car. So yeah, I thought that was quite good from Norris. But we should talk about the McLaren brushes with wins, Ben.
Yeah.
It was close in Imola, wasn't it? It was close in Monaco, close in Canada, close here, and Norris was kicking himself. It's not just was this a missed opportunity, because as we've established, had Norris been ahead at the start, every chance he could have won. Had he been just behind Verstappen after the start, could have attacked him, but they were kind of separated early on. But you know, how big a missed opportunity, and is there a worrying pattern here, or do you think it's all positive in McLaren that things are getting so good and they can actually at the end of the race say, yeah, it was quicker than it?
Yeah, I think that's the major thing. You know, it's easy to forget now that coming into the weekend we expected Red Bull to restore a gap, you know, a significant gap. It wasn't there in qualifying. As Mark mentioned earlier, you know, they're under so much pressure now that it's becoming about the details of execution even for Red Bull. You know, have they got exactly the right setup for the given session? They definitely feel like, and they're not the only team that feels this, that they're reaching the kind of limit of the regulations in terms of development potential now. So obviously we're seeing convergence. McLaren, I don't know if you've had the chance to ask Stella this, but I don't feel they feel that
Problem
they're
start
at that
again.
same point yet.
Fucking
coming into this season, they certainly felt that there was still a linear slope of development. We didn't see it from race 1. We've definitely seen a big jump since that Miami upgrade went on Norris's car, and they seem to have made the biggest gain in one go of any of those top teams. The others have been...
Yes, they have. So what does that say about Mercedes? From being up there in 8 years, and now they are nowhere. At least they do this progress every day. That's do, you can say, nothing in the long run.
Kind of chipping away at bits. Red Bull inevitably will find that chipping away process harder because they're leading the championship. They have fewer hours of wind tunnel time available. The rules are designed to restrict their potential to get ahead. But other teams in McLaren's vicinity, Mercedes and Ferrari, have also been making gains. Mercedes...
Oh, could this be the 2025 season? Red Bull and Lando Norris, they are fighting for the championship. Ferrari and Red Bull is fighting the constructionship. And yeah, what more can happen? And Mercedes will be fourth best team still.
More impressive, Ferrari a bit less impressive. So it feels like McLaren are still on a really good trajectory. I think this circuit was fascinating in terms of, you know, trying every team having to find a compromise between the high and low speed and the mid-speed sections of the track. Now, there's a full range there, almost not quite as peak low speed as when the chicane was there, but there's still this similar compromise globally.
One more
I felt that Red
fish
Bull
for
was
the
at one end of
collection.
it. McLaren were probably in the sweet spot as best you can, overall compromise middle bit, and then Mercedes and Ferrari were kind of slightly off one way or the other. I think Ferrari a little bit better in the low speed and a bit weaker in the high speed, and Mercedes the other way round.
Yeah, McLaren are in a good place because they've got a good... It's a decent all-round car now. It's going to be thereabouts at worst everywhere now, which is great.
You know that
Exactly.
you're not able to do so well at the end of stints unless your car is benign, and probably over the course of this weekend, on balance, it was
one more fish for the collection.
You can see even from the early parts of Friday practice,
Betty White Brown.
not so much compared to the Red Bull, because when I was watching at turn 4, there was a bit of an offset in terms of the run plan, but certainly compared to the Ferrari, there was a point where Leclerc and Norris were doing very similar things and definitely going for it, and you could see as they came into turn 4, there was just this extra delay with the Ferrari. It wasn't as joined up between the entry and the exit phase. Leclerc was having to wait for the car to do something to respond, whereas with Norris, it had a little bit of that. I think it's inescapable in a long corner
This
like
must
that.
be.
And long corners are obviously a very good test of the sort of aerodynamic stability of a car. Norris had so much less time to wait in that corner, and that was even from the first session. So the point at which McLaren began the weekend, at least on his car, was in a much, much better place than the teams around them, or certainly some of the teams around them.
Well, we talked about the two of...
And everything then got ruined in the race. Isn't that beautiful? The race between Lando Norris and Max Verstappen just got ruined because George Russell wanted to lead for 2 laps. And holy fuck, we need to go away again. Fuck me. Holy fucking... must have done something. Holy shit, my nose is fucking killing me. But I don't know what I did. So annoying. Back to the race with the... Yeah, and the McLaren threatened Red Bull in F1 24 Spanish Grand Prix. Man, this is a nightmare. This would take forever if my noses keep fucking... yeah, what the fuck is called? Yeah, whatever my nose problem is. This will take forever to fucking finish.
Sitting at the front, but conspicuous by their absence was Sergio Perez in the other Red Bull, only 8th, who finished well behind Oscar Piastri and the other McLaren. So why were the second drivers struggling so much?
One more fish for the collection.
Piastri, it's unusual. It's against the pattern of the season. And he was quite frank in admitting he'd no idea why he just didn't have the feel for the car around here this weekend. It just he wasn't able to unlock it at any stage. Just few little glimpses every now and again. He set a very quick sector 2 time and then went off.
I would say Oscar Piastri will be back next race, 100%.
Qualifying, ran wide, and then he had his lap disallowed. But generally, no, he just wasn't even in the same on the same page as Norris this weekend, and that's the first time we've seen that.
Man, hopefully Oscar Piastri will have such a good race that Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri can finish the race P1, P2. But well, for that to happen, Oscar Piastri need to be better on his tires.
And so, yeah, it'd be interesting to know whether they find anything with the car or whether it's just one of those things where something hasn't clicked for a particular driver. With Perez, it's part of a pattern, but in fairness to him, they were pulling all sorts of wildly different setups on him as they
also he had this fucking what's it called, 5, I don't know, it was flight maybe 3 places down for driving the car unsafely, I don't know, in fucking Canada. So whatever he was qualifying in the qualifying, he will then be 3 places down. And that could have changed more of his race. Maybe he could have done even better. Maybe fighting the Ferrari instead of Alpine.
Tried to figure out between the 2 cars what they needed to do to get the car to work. And yeah, he had that plus his 3-place grid penalty for driving back to the pits with a damaged car in Montreal. So
that's he fucking weird. Why?
Given that he had that sort of nightmare build-up to it, to sort of do what he did on a 3-stop and come back and get into the lower end points is I suppose was okay, but yeah, just he's going through that very familiar nightmare middle phase of his season. It's been like this for the last 2 seasons, so yeah, we'll just have to see if he pulls out of it. But for Piastri, I'd be surprised if this was any sort of pattern for the future.
It will not.
Whatever it was for Piastri, he was locked into it from the earliest laps. I mean, I tried to grill him a bit on this on Saturday, and he refused to blame the car. He said it wasn't even one particular area of the track he was struggling with. It was every session he was chasing something different and just kind of moving the problem around, and he just felt that everyone else... I mean, I thought to myself, well, this is a track...
Oh my god, it sounds like Perez every race. No, shit.
Everyone knows really well, teams and drivers, surely, you'd start on the front foot, you'd expect to, and he was like, well, everyone else, because of that, is starting at a much higher level. You don't get so much time to build through the practice sessions, and I think Piastri tends to be a driver who likes to build through the weekend. So if you start off, as Leclerc found, it's very hard to catch up, especially also as the peak performance of the tyre only gives you 1 lap. so your key laps through the practice sessions are quite minimal. And I just think he could just never wrap his head around it in a weekend where the pace was so hot. And Perez,
oh shit, Austria. Sprint race, I believe it will be. Let's see. Can we see it? Yeah, sprint. That's boring.
I mean, he was very evasive at the start of the weekend in terms of these ongoing problems, you know, mentioning...
So maybe Sergio Perez will not have a good race in Austria.
Vague mechanical and aero issues, so basically
sprint race.
The car. But in terms of the race, he did eventually say after the race that he was struggling particularly on the soft tyre, and his main limitation was with the front. He said, I'm front limited on the entries, particularly the slower corners, and I just can't get the rotation I want. It's something I've been struggling with for the last few races, and they, as you mentioned, Mark, they've been throwing setups at it to try and fix it, and they haven't found a solution yet. So yeah, he seems to be stuck in yet another Sergio Perez death spiral.
Right, Ben, Lewis Hamilton and George Russell were third and fourth. The car wasn't far off in qualifying. So does the performance here convince you that Mercedes is now on the right track?
They are.
It does seem that way. You know, Montreal was...
The right track. I mean, they have been on a track to make the car better since 2022. And how have that went? They are now maybe figuring stuff out. I mean, so they no being on the right track now. I would say they've always been on the right track. They always known the car they have is bad. It's that definition of knowing where you should go.
Surprisingly good, I think, for everyone. Maybe not for Mercedes so much, but I mean, George Russell did say that he felt that that front wing final piece of the puzzle had been more powerful than even they expected. So perhaps it's fair to say there was an element of surprise across the board. But we always knew this would be a much sterner test because of the track compromises. And they were there. They weren't right there, but they were close.
Yeah, they were there. Fourth best team again. Wow.
They were able to pit Ferrari. They were knocking on the door earlier in the weekend. It felt like as the track gripped up and the business end of qualifying came around, Red Bull and McLaren just had a little bit more to give and a little bit more control over the aero platform that they'd gone with, whereas Mercedes and Ferrari were giving. I felt Mercedes and Ferrari were having to give away a little bit in different areas. As I mentioned, I think the Mercs had really they have worked out how to have low and high speed performance rather than just one or the other. Like it was.
Oh shit! Could this be 100? No, it's purple Magnanta. Magnanta purple flopper. Yeah, flopper Magnanta purple. Boring.
The case early in the season, but I think here, in terms of the compromise, they were still slightly biased towards the high speed and giving away in the low. And as I say, Ferrari were the other way around. So because those two teams were just a little bit more limited overall, it just meant that they were still that step behind Red Bull and McLaren, at least in Max and Norris's hands. But Hamilton on the podium, it was
one more
very,
fish for the
very
collection.
strong weekend for Mercedes on a track where if they hadn't figured the car out, you would have expected them to struggle.
Yeah, George Russell was very, very
Well,
positive.
be
He said
one
after
more?
qualifying, this is the sort of most confident they've been in the past 3 seasons. And he said after the race, we're
Oh
definitely
my god! I mean, wow! What a upgrade! What a progress! They're more. They understand the car more. Yeah, from what? Not knowing anything. Okay, so 0.01% of the car now. That's the progress. Nice.
you're going to win races this year, which I
No.
Bullish.
win on merit. So very, very positive. And I must admit, I'm for the first time in a long time, I'm quite positive about Mercedes. They're on the right trajectory. How fast they can progress along that trajectory,
That's the thing, isn't it?
But
That would be super fucking slow. I mean, it took 3 years for them to understand something. So maybe 3 more years.
reason to be optimistic. But Mark, Lewis Hamilton obviously having probably certainly his strongest weekend in terms of results. Obviously the battle with Russell, once again they kind of diverged a bit on strategy. But what did you make of Hamilton's performance? Do you think he's sort of picking up a bit with the car?
Yes, it's a good confidence base for him. I would think respectful
Fish
performance.
for the collection.
Narrowly outqualified his teammate, and was able to run long enough to get onto the soft tyre for the end, which allowed him to overtake George and get that podium. So yeah, very respectable performance. Nothing startling, but it was I think good solid baseline.
Let's move on to Ferrari
my nose
now,
is killing me.
Yeah.
5th and 6th with Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz. 4th best of the group of teams near the front. So why weren't they properly at the races?
Yeah, well, compared to Barcelona 2023, it was a pretty good race for Ferrari. But obviously, compared to how they started this season, I think it's fair to say it was a disappointment. You know, they have slipped back from being the clear second best. And there seems to be a pattern now where, even Mercedes are now able to pick them off.
Wait, did you say?
Disappointment. They have slipped.
Yeah, I think good solid baseline.
Let's move on to Ferrari.
If I agree, I must go away again. Oh shit. And I'm fucking back again. This is fucking annoying. 35 minutes on the clip. Can I fucking succeed with it? I don't know. Oh my god, my nose.
Ferrari now, Ben.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the fucking Ferrari talk. So the progress Mercedes have done, you can more or less say Ferrari is not doing good. That was Mercedes' progress is. I wouldn't say that progress. I would say that's downgrade for Ferrari, not a progress for
5th and
Mercedes.
6th with Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz. 4th best of the group of teams near the front. So why weren't they properly at the races?
Yeah, well, compared to Barcelona 2023, it was a pretty good race for Ferrari. But obviously, compared to how they started this season, I think it's fair to say it was a disappointment. They have slipped back from being the clear second best. And there seems to be a pattern now where, even Mercedes are now able to pick them off. And you can argue the toss a bit. I mean, Fred Vasseur, in typically defensive mode after the race, was saying, well, the qualifying gap to Mercedes was a gust of wind. So they could easily have been 3rd and 4th on the grid rather than 5th or 6th, and it's a different race. But you're still talking about a deficit to Verstappen and Norris.
And this is a car that was the clear second best in the early phase of the season.
Yeah, McLaren's overtaken it, I think, on balance. I mean, Vasseur's clinging to the fact that, the past 4 weekends you've had 4 different cars on pole position. and you know everyone's kind of within 2/10 depending on the track configuration and how.
But Ferrari's done it on the most absurd outlier of the season.
Yes, and I put that to him. I said, you know, Monaco's the one that's the outlier. But then of course he starts saying, well, yeah, but if we win in Singapore, if we win in Baku, you know, that's pretty good.
And hopefully they will. Can that be a trident? One more trident for the collection. I mean, I believe Ferrari winning a race more than fucking Mercedes. No, don't hit yourself. Don't hit me. No trident. Oh, it was a trident. I thought I saw a trident. Nice. One more trident for the collection, and also one fish. One more fish for the... Probably not. I think I already had floppy red green, but who knows? I don't. I just think I know. No, this one. Fuck you, lightning strikes. Ruin my... No, I need to fix it. Start moving. Try this. Quiet. Yeah, continue.
All the outliers.
He's essentially saying, yeah, well, we can be the king of the outliers, but he's also saying that you can't predict the pattern necessarily because it's now so close in terms of the pure pace. It comes down to the specific minute details of the track, how they intersect with the car, and also how you execute the weekend. So I think he kind of feels like Ferrari.
Oh shit! I forgot.
I mean, he didn't criticise Ferrari for having a bad
fuck
weekend.
off.
It's much better than Canada, but I think
Fuck
it's
is
become
happening?
clear that
Quiet. Sounds like the skeletons has been spawned now. Man, so many lightning strikes. 2 in a row. In a short... Come on. Give me. Okay, seems like no more lightning strikes. But, okay. We need to place... Yeah, we can place it. Well, continue.
Ferrari, where the McLaren has managed to become this sort of all-rounder at the front, that's maybe on Red Bull's pace, maybe not quite in all circumstances. The Merc and the Ferrari too, they just still have slight biases where they're stronger in certain areas and weaker in others. And
yeah, but still Ferrari have won races. Mercedes haven't.
The Ferrari, you know, by the fact that it won Monaco so convincingly, obviously it's better.
And then the one in Australia.
At low speed. At high speed it's giving away, and he said particularly using the tyre through the whole lap in Barcelona with degs so high, even in qualifying you have to be managing the tyres, and they just weren't able to keep the tyre life for the end of the lap quite to the same extent as others. I think they run into bouncing problems at high speed and max power and high grip as well compared to McLaren and Red Bull, and through the final 2 fast sweeps they just didn't have enough front tyre left to do the final bit of lap time.
Well, this is the concern for me for Ferrari, because of these rules there's various different
Concerns, yeah, the concerns for Ferrari, but no concerns for fucking Mercedes, yeah. Yeah, the copium.
limitations you butt up against, and different cars have different problems, and it depends how hard those limitations are and whether you can get the compromise. I don't know about you, Mark, but I'm a little bit worried now about Ferrari because this bouncing.
Still, they have won races this season. What have fucking machines done the past 2 seasons? Wow.
A high speed limitation, which Carlos Sainz also suggested made it harder in qualifying to make the tyres last as well as they should have done over a single lap. That feels like something that's proving quite persistent and stubborn at the moment, and that feels like a limit they're going to butt up against, not at every circuit, but any circuit that's got a decent amount of high speed corners. That's going to be a big problem for them.
Yeah, I think it's Barcelona's going to be at the extreme end of that just because of the range of corner speeds. But yes, it is clearly something that they do run into a limitation with. And Sainz mentioned that they're a little bit off for the pace in China and Suzuka as well, which is a similar sort of high speed, high load, long corners.
Oh, one more fish for the collection.
So
Look like
yes,
the normal one.
It is also
Stripy
track
pink
specific
green.
in that the Monaco. Yes, it has got very good mechanical traits at low speed, but it's also got a very particular power unit trait which works very well out of low speed corners, which comes to its aid. So yeah, there's a reason why it's got a slightly unusual performance profile, but yes, Ben's right, it has been basically just completely overtaken by McLaren, and McLaren has put itself in the same league as Red Bull, and Ferrari is now in a similar situation to Mercedes, where it's it can be there, it can be a contender on the right sort of track, and it's there are probably more victories in store for it during the season, I would imagine. But yeah,
for Ferrari, yes,
for the season-long battle, it's Verstappen versus McLaren.
I'd be a bit worried about Ferrari's rate of.
No, it's not Max Verstappen versus McLaren. Max Verstappen versus Norris. Oscar Piastri will probably never be someone that fighting Max Verstappen this season. Maybe next season, but not this season.
Development this season based on the jumps McLaren have been able to make. But for Sir, when I put this to him, the Ferrari drivers were talking up McLaren, saying, "Oh, it looks like they're properly ahead of us." And he was saying, "Oh yeah, but if you go back a year and look at Silverstone, we were almost 20 or 20 something seconds behind McLaren. So I'm not sure the rate of development's any different." So he's got an answer for everything at the moment. But I felt like he was kind of in a slight protective, defensive mode this weekend, because it was disappointing for him to see Ferrari not at least second best.
Yeah, very, very much so. Concerns for them there. Upgrades they had here that apparently deliver what they should have done, but yeah, a few question marks there.
I mean, isn't that so? You should be. You're disappointed being not up there, while Lewis Hamilton is happy that he finally get a podium after 12 races without any podium.
Move on to Alpine now. Mark, it's very, very odd because we're going to say some nice things about Alpine because Gasly was 9th, Ocon was 10th.
I mean, you can say nice things. You can also say everyone else could have got points wasn't there. Aston Martin wasn't there. Visa Cash App or Formula 1 team wasn't there. So it's like, did Alpine do any progress, or was everyone else so fucking bad? Probably
7th in
they
the
were
Constructors'
bad.
Championship. Now they've even moved up to 8th fastest on the sort of single lap pace tracker that we keep. So where's that
Briatore
pace?
magic.
Well, exactly. Well, we may address Briatore a little bit later, but yeah, where has that pace come from, and how on earth have we got to a point where Pierre Gasly's able to qualify within half a second of pole position around this track of all tracks?
Yeah, there's it was a very nicely balanced car. You could see that from the onboards. Gasly, particularly in the high-speed stuff, this lovely one-sweep movement on the steering wheel. The car had a nice, consistent balance through the different speed corners, and that's a very important quality around here. But I think it's also a reflection of how the...
No! Go away, Ed, we don't want you. Oh shit. My nose have some problems, and I hate it. Why? Oh no, not a new fish for the collection. 3, 2, 1. God damn it.
A reflection of how the top teams.
How many is... Fuck me, it's 30 minutes. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know if I will be able to fucking finish this.
The limitations.
My nose is so fucking annoying.
With this regulation set, to be one of you're trading off balance for downforce, and I mean, in terms of balance of having a good balance at both low speed and high, or you might have to get that, you may have to lose some peak downforce. And the top teams are obviously they're reluctant to do that. They're trying to get the downforce and have the good balance. And they
so greedy.
Yeah, and of the top teams, the McLaren's the most successful in doing that, and the Red Bull is encountering difficulties. So you're seeing a sort of false ceiling, or not false ceiling, but a ceiling being put on the Red Bull concept.
A hard floor, Mark.
Yeah. And I think the Alpine performance just showed what the value of good, consistent balance was around that track. And yeah, all credit to them, because it
change nothing on your car and you will be good.
Happened by accident. But, you know, there's been a lot of very diligent research and simulation will have gone into that, and it sort of all came together very nicely for them. Both cars making Q3 as well.
I think worth a tip of a hat to Pierre Gasly as well, because though Ocon was up there as well, Gasly was a step ahead and he drove really well. Actually, his qualifying lap was interesting because the slightly lower speed balance of the car wasn't kind of classic Gasly territory, but he managed it very well on the qualifying lap. So yeah, he's after that slightly shaky start to the season, he seems to be really getting somewhere, which is encouraging for him. Let's move on now, Ben, to Williams. They had a particularly bad weekend, so why so slow?
Yes, they have.
Well, yeah, speaking of cars that were maybe remain overweight, yeah, there's a stark difference. Not a great sign for what's meant to be the all-rounder now. I think I came into this weekend thinking, well, this is quite a big test of, you know, the Williams change of direction, but it seemed that they were limited by old problems.
Can there be one more fish for the collection? And Clay fish purple white.
Saying it blew him off track in the race, particularly. He didn't really have any. There were a few guys this weekend who weren't complaining of any particular problem with the balance of the car.
Purple white.
This goes from Leclerc through to Albon through to the RB drivers in qualifying, but the pace just wasn't there.
8 more.
Certainly the pace they were expecting. But on Logan Sargent,
that I would say, if I succeed to get 6 to 7 more, then this clip will probably be done, because then I will waste maybe 30 minutes on placing down all the fishes in the collection, the chest room collection. But if not, then I will land it early.
This car, you know, he was
fuck this
supposedly
nose problem.
Same spec, but the floor wasn't working, and he had a horrible time. You know, high deg, no pace. Described it as the worst weekend he'd ever had in Formula One. So disaster, yeah, and it really was. You know, they were comfortably the slowest, having recently, you know, been bothering the top 10, and certainly being up a Q2 in, you know, with Sargent and Albon were both in Q3 when they Canada. But I mean, it's a similar story to last year, isn't it? You know, Canada was one of Williams' best tracks last year, and Spain was the opposite, and we've just seen the same thing. So
yeah, so they will probably be back in Austria, then Silverstone.
Kind of feels like
Silverstone did they had a nice fight with Ferrari.
Hasn't really been any progress at Williams, even though there sort of has been. So yeah, quite a confusing one.
The interesting thing was their qualifying deficit to the front was to within, you know, it was about 0.002% different compared to here last year. So they've gone with the average.
One more
front, but they haven't made a net gain, which they would have been hoping to do. And Albon said he wasn't expecting much, but he was expecting more from here. So this was never going to be a good circuit for them. But yeah, the fact it wasn't, I think even if Albon had been absolutely perfect in Q1, she wasn't quite, he wouldn't have been in Q2.
He was slightly undercooked at the start of the lap, wasn't
Yeah,
he?
so
But I
lost
mean,
a
it
bit
was,
so.
you know, it was a poor weekend for Williams, I think.
Exactly. And that flaw thing with Sargent, that definitely does seem to be a thing. It's not just an excuse. And when you've got a team that seems to be struggling to produce things that are working exactly as they should, it wasn't working as well as Albon's flaw. And in fact, Sargent suggested on Saturday that was the reason why he didn't have the flaw last time. Because if you remember, he said before the Canadian Grand Prix weekend on Thursday, I'm going to have the new spec, and then he suddenly didn't. And so there's something going on there. We assume in manufacturing in some way, shape or form, where something's not quite working as well.
Still chasing their tails.
Exactly. So it's going to take a little bit of time for him to get the long-awaited parity. Might not even be until after the summer break. Who knows? And now Mark Scott isn't here. He will be back, of course, after the Austrian Grand Prix. So I'm actually going to invite you to one of our favourite places on this podcast.
No.
Welcome to Valtteri Bottas Sympathy Corner.
So now we're here in Valtteri Bottas Sympathy Corner, Mark. He qualified so well in 12th, but why was he an anonymous 16th in the race?
Yeah, he did a really nice job in qualifying. Got the car solidly in the Q2, half a second faster than his teammate. And I think that was about as much as you could have asked of that car in qualifying. But yeah, for some reason in the race, they did a very odd tyre sequence. They did
5,
soft,
6
soft
more.
hard. So they had 3 opportunities to use the best tyre, which was the medium, and turned it down on all occasions. So the yeah, the soft that they put on at the first stop, obviously you didn't get very much range from, and you had to come in early from that, and it was, you know, they then stuck the hard on to get at the end, and it's just the worst possible combination, really. So yeah, that's I don't know if Valtteri was aware that was the plan for the tyre run plan.
No, I thought it was maybe 100% batty color, but now it's brown green. 4 or 5 more fishes can be collected.
But yeah, that's what he got, and yeah, that's how it played out.
Yeah, he said, I think we calculated a bit wrong of that strategy when I asked him about it after the race. So it was a shame because he did qualify really, really well. He was in a great mood after qualifying. In fact, just after he finished speaking to us, he hung around just because Q3 was just finishing. Obviously, he'd been eliminating Q2, and he just looked at us and gave a prediction. I think he thought it was going to be Verstappen, Norris, Hamilton, the top 3. And so I said, right, this is a test of your punditry credentials. And it wasn't quite right, but he had the right top 3. So we had a bit of a debate about whether he had a punditry.
One more fish for the collection.
Sympathy this weekend because his performance on Saturday was probably one of his best of the season. As Mark said, he absolutely smashed his teammate, and to end up so reversed in the race, it wasn't really befitting of the performance he put in, I don't think.
But quite befitting of what seems to happen at Sauber at the moment. Yeah, what a shame, but
yeah, probably will be the same in 2025. Will Audi save this team? Hopefully they will, but man.
Yeah, that's why Valtteri Bottas Sympathy Corner exists.
That will probably happen. Audi will probably outperform Aston Martin faster. And then Lawrence Stroll will question 100% how much money have we wasted to see this. One more fish for the collection on Christmas fish for the summer break.
Right, let's get into some questions from the Race Members Club for our usual final part of the podcast. If you're interested in getting in on the act,
one more.
Check out our Patreon page for more details, and there will be a link in the episode description to click on as well. We'll try and get through as many as we can, and we will probably have a full questions podcast episode soon. We're not sure exactly when during this triple header because it depends on what other news surfaces, etc. But you'll see that at the latest after the triple header, and we're going to aim to do a members bonus episode as well that will go out before the Austrian Grand Prix. So we'll get through as many as we can, but we're getting loads, so we have to unfortunately be a little bit selective, and it's a shame. So many great questions. Right, Mark,
that's
I'll stop talking so we can get on with them. Bo Albert says, is Lando's don't settle for P2, always push for the win mentality simply because he doesn't believe the championship is possible this year, and that risking safe points for a chance at the win is...
The fuck? What? everyone want, if they can win a race, they will try to make that happen.
More worthwhile for him and the team.
I think that establishing themselves as regular winners is sort of step one on the way to being a championship contender, but I think that they're taking it one step at a time, and I think rather than...
Man, it will be so amazing if that actually happened next year. Max Verstappen and Norris is fighting for the championship, and Ferrari and Red Bull is fighting for the constructorship. So the 2025 season will be like 2021 season between Red Bull and Mercedes, but now it's Red Bull and McLaren. But the season will be even better because the construction ship is with another team. Because that I will believe that Max Verstappen, Lando Norris will maybe take the big points. But Ferrari with Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton will probably get all the other points behind them. So if Perez or Oscar Piastri do a bad race, or is it before Ferrari get more points every race. Let's see, could that be true? Points. If we go to, let's see, 25. Oh, let's see, we need to, how do I do this? Okay, we need to paint. We need to maybe change this one. Say, we have a 25. True. And then when we have 18. What do we have more? We have 15, 12, 27. Ferrari, Norris, Verstappen. Let's see. What points is left done? 10 and 8. Let's see. 10 and 8. If Perez make a bad race, then yes. But if he just do a decent race, then it will 100% be enough points to be better than Ferrari. So Ferrari need to hope they get more second and third places. Yeah. Continue.
Carried away thinking let's fight for the championship. They're fighting each race as it comes, and I think somewhere distant in the back of their minds is the idea that we might still be in contention for this championship, but I don't think it's the overriding thing that's driving them on at the moment. I think it's just the excitement of narrowing that gap down to Red Bull and taking them on and trying to beat this sort of winning combination. It's just so all round excellent at every little detail, and I think that process is probably a very satisfying and exciting one. And I think it's just that. It's just that, you know, finishing third or fourth or fifth is of no interest. Let's take on Verstappen.
And it's 69 points the advantage Verstappen's got over Norris, who's now second in the championship. So it would take a lot for that kind of gap to close down. Very, very few cases where more than 2 wins worth of points have been closed down. The next question for you, Ben, comes from Gavin Cameron. A significant question because it's the first question that's come through our Patreon, seeing that we keep talking about. So it's the same whether you're Patreon or the old form of the Race Members Club membership. It's a landmark one. So Gavin Cameron's question is, will Lando Norris's negativity, as exemplified by the post-race radio, hurt him if and when he gets into a championship battle?
Well, Gavin, I don't think so, because
not for the
if you consider this is the kind of this negativity is not negativity for negativity's sake. It's, you know, hyper criticism designed to spur him and his team on to the greater pursuit of excellence. It's the kind of trait that we admire in Max Verstappen, the man he's trying to topple. You know, whenever Max feels that Red Bull's left performance on the table or messed up in a qualifying session or a race, you know, he is absolutely blunt and hard on the team and himself if it's ever him, in terms of, you know, we need to improve. And I think it's the same trait we see in Lando. You know, he wants to be an elite driver in an elite team, and you don't get that way
18,
by just
20,
patting yourself
24,
back on the back all the
30,
time.
36.
I mean, you maybe argue that
40,
he's
41.
being overly critical at the moment of himself.
18, 20, 22, 24, 30, 36, 39, 40, 41. Okay, 17, 40, 60. Plus 41. Nice. So 1,760. Let's see how many we actually will get after that. Back to you. The race.
But, you know, Andre Stella at McLaren says, you know, it's Lando's style to be like that, and you have to sometimes disconnect the style from the content of what's happened. In this particular instance, you know, I don't think he did a lot wrong. I imagine that second phase of the start thing that cost him so dearly in terms of his track position with Max was down to something McLaren needs to work on in terms of its start procedure and the clutch and power delivery and everything else. It's work that Red Bull are ahead on because, you know, they've been chasing those marginal gains sooner than McLaren. So it's just a case of continuing to push and eliminate the weaknesses.
And next up is a question I'll take from Kyle Tyler Biggs, who asks, is Renault getting ready to sell off its stake in Team Enstone once again?
I mean, maybe, but if they do that, I feel like they should sell the team also. Light blue. Nope, we don't have any light blue. At least it just was one copy. Oh, there's a brown. Dasher brown. Nice. Let's see. And then we have this copied glitter. Oh shit, we have so many. Snooper. And one more. Let's see. Remove. Do we have any more? Brown. So light gray snooper. That's a copy. Clayfish brown. Also copied, and then we have the glitter. Let's see. Clayfish brown. So we have on the clayfish brown. Did it look like that? And it shouldn't be any glitter here. Light blue glitter. Snooper light gray. No, I don't see it. So 3 minus 57 minus 3.
With the announcement of Flavio Briatore's return as executive advisor. If so, who would Flavio potentially court as a new owner, and what chance will they have of turning the fortunes around? I'm going to give a very brief answer on this one, simply because we're probably going to do a much bigger episode on Alpine imminently, so we'll get into that there. But they say it is not for sale. When they unveiled to the staff privately on Thursday before the race that Briatore was returning, they said the team is not being sold. I think there's a chance that that might be part of the possible options, because Briatore is a great person to bring in if you were to look at doing that. So maybe it's one of those options that's on the table, but there are other things.
They're lying to the staff, basically.
No, not necessarily, but as I put it in the article I wrote, not being especially positive about this return, given his history with this team, if I was there, I wouldn't entirely believe that assurance, and that's based on Renault's history with Formula One and Luca Di Maio's history with this particular team. And I hope I'm wrong, because I for everybody working hard at Enstone, also very on the engine side, because it's the two sides of the same coin, that team, they deserve to have a good run at it and really fulfill their potential, because there's some great people there. So I wouldn't be surprised, but there are other things he's going to do: Concord Agreement stuff, driver stuff, big strategic stuff.
Who could he sell it to, though?
Oh, there's loads of people out there, aren't there? I mean, there are
Andretti.
Well, Andretti, but as I understand it, Andretti are an absolute hard no on trying to buy Alpine at the moment. Could change, who knows? But there are. I mean, every team that could be for sale has got multiple people who have inquired, ostensibly serious people. Now, when it comes to parting company with the kind of money that these teams are worth, whether that money's genuinely there or not is another matter. But there are a lot of people. If somebody put up a for sale sign on their F1 team, which they wouldn't do, because you don't want to seem like you're motivated to sell
you want to give it away.
They would be inundated with people, and although there'll be the usual chance as an optimist.
Nice. Go away. Orange, purple. That should be let's see, 1, 10, 14. Nine, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Orange, purple. Okay, nice. Where many fishes are the let's see, where do we have that information? 15 base colors. No, that's saying fucking nothing. 15. No, it does say something. 15 base colors. It will be 15 different fishes with the orange. So then I have all the 15 different. Do we have Betty 100% orange? Brown, cyan, green, light blue, white, pink, black, gray, light gray, red, magenta. No, we don't. Fucking... That's depressing. Let's see. We should... Betty orange. Done. Missing 100%. 100% O. Okay. So this is almost done. We need just 100% orange fish. The 100% Betty orange. Oh my god. No, my nose is back. Oh god. Oh, fuck me. How many? It's 16, 90 minutes. Oh, can I fucking hold this problem till then, hopefully.
Is
Flavio good at sifting those?
Oh, Flavio, yeah, he will know how to tell the difference.
He can spot a chance or a mile off.
exactly, and yeah, I would say I'm not a big fan of this appointment. He's allowed to work in Formula One, no problem. He's worked for F1 itself, other teams, no problem. But
bad look for them.
Same
isn't it?
team, same majority ownership. Given what happened before, I'm not keen on that. But I do think Briatore has a lot of skill.
Continue.
That can bring useful things to that team
and facilitate a sale.
possibly. So I will, we'll talk more about that soon. But I want to have us to have a quick bite at that now.
Nice.
And Mark, a question from Don Anderson now: did Red Bull cost Sergio Perez a position by not putting him on hards for a final stint?
Possibly putting him on softs. Lap 49. The softs should still have been the faster tyre in theory. It's what 17 laps to go. Yeah, 17 laps. Soft should have been a faster tyre over that stint than the hard. The hard was even slower than forecast. So,
no.
Yeah, maybe it was particularly working the soft particularly hard. So it might, if you were able to run it again, it might have worked out better for him if they'd done hard. But yeah, I don't think it was a fundamental error. I think, every bit of data that they would have had at that time would have suggested the soft should have been able to do that stint on a low fuel load quite comfortably.
Ben, next up a question for you from Tamara Salter, also from Patreon. Why did the upgrades not work for the RBs? They were
why didn't it work?
nowhere during qualifying in the race.
Hello, Tamara. Yes, so I think it's possible that the upgrades were working. There were teams, like Ferrari, who put upgrades on, saw the numbers they expected, but for whatever reason didn't manage to extract the pace from them. It could be that there are kind of two separate things going on. So you upgrade the car and you make it better fundamentally in terms of the data you're seeing, but the demands of the circuit mean that you're not able to translate all of that performance into something the driver can access. We know the RB is a better car at low speed. It's an outlier really in that regard across the grid compared to high speed. Obviously they've had quite a consistent run of being upper top of the midfield and bothering Aston Martin and Mercedes sometimes earlier in the season. But I suspect, given that the drivers were reporting no real problems with the balance in qualifying and just not being able to have any lap time from the car, that the compromises of Barcelona and the need to trade off between the high, medium and low speed just meant that where they ran the RB, trying to find the middle of that compromise just meant that it was kind of ineffective in almost all corner types, and they ended up in a kind of Williams situation just without the wind sensitivity.
Yeah, it shows how difficult it is with these regulations to get a car that's in the right place all the time. Yeah, the next question I'll take from Jay Menon. Apologies for such a blunt question, but what on earth is going on at Aston Martin? Well, we like a blunt question. Ultimately, they're not making as much progress as they need to. In Spain, the big problem was they're not great in long corners. That's been a problem for quite a while. And as Fernando Alonso was saying after the race, just haven't got enough.
We need to talk less and do more.
Enough downforce. Yeah. And how did you find Fernando Alonso's talking less after the race, Ben?
Yes, he was very short with me when I tried to ask him about the performance profile of the car and what it was lacking around this circuit, and he just said downforce. And I said, well, is that, have you got a balance issue too? And he was like, no, it's just peak load. I felt like maybe he's said too much during the weekend about what Aston's lacking, and also this upgrade they've got coming. They just need to survive the triple header, and then they've got this next package that's probably not going to work going on the car. And it feels like maybe Alonso's starting to put a little bit of public pressure on the team to actually deliver what they're promising.
Yeah, they need that step. There seems to be some confidence there that there will be a step from that. They've battled these characteristics, and it's the challenge of these regs getting a car that works across the board. And Barcelona, as well as being that pure aero test, there's a wide range of corner speeds here, and they struggled here last year. But I did ask Tom McCulloch about that at Aston Martin this morning, and he said, look, the car is night and day better here than it was 12 months ago. But it's like we said with Williams, if you're not moving at the same rate as others, then you're struggling.
Hard to set up too, wasn't it? Because on Friday, Alonso was saying we are so far out of the window. So they didn't hit the ground running in Barcelona, definitely, and were probably chasing their tails a bit, having basically wasted Friday. So that won't have helped.
Yeah, that made it basically not quite a top 10 car. Now, technical problems means we have unexpectedly...
We need to put them in order. Lime white.
Lost Mark. We had a couple more questions for him, but me and Ben will muddle through his last two questions as we work through it. So, Ben, you can play the role of Mark on this one.
Do I have to put on the northern accent?
Please don't. Okay. The question from Sean Lihan, who says, so is it official, with McLaren continuing to mix it with Red Bull and Ferrari and Merc not far behind, do we finally have a championship fight on our hands?
I'd like to say yes.
Next year, yes. Not this year. This year will Max Verstappen win. But next year, if McLaren keep doing what they're doing, then next year can be a championship fight between Lando Norris and Max Verstappen.
Yes.
And hopefully a construction ship battle between Ferrari and Red Bull.
Sean, but I just feel like
the
advantage Red Bull's built just puts it slightly out of reach. It's possible in the constructors that they get eaten up if Perez can't turn things around.
Yeah, but that will probably be with Ferrari. Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc will probably... Oh no, here we have the white. White, light blue. Nope, no white, light blue. Red, purple. But that's hopeful, who knows.
But the fact that Piastri had such a bad weekend, similarly stinky to Perez, means it's possible that the other top teams will drop points by just having the random bad races for one or both of their drivers. I think what we're going to get from now to the end is close races. I think that's the thing that's so exciting. We're going to every weekend now knowing that it's really tight amongst that leading four group, and you don't know who's going to steal ahead at any given moment depending on how they execute. So I think all the races could be close, but I feel like with how good Red Bull are at executing, think how many how many marginal situations we've had in the last few weeks, and Verstappen's nearly always coming out the right side of those marginal situations, I think that's going to be enough to carry him to the championship again.
Yeah, I think also with the points he's already got.
Of course.
But the question was, do we finally have a championship fight on our hands? I think it might not quite get to that, but do we have a fight on our hands every race weekend? Yeah, I think we do. Yeah. Now, this order's very intense on you, Ben. Another question.
Another one for me.
This is one of your original questions.
But I'm myself again now. I'm not Mark.
Exactly. So you can go with your own accent. Kieran Holden says, why did Charles Leclerc not get a penalty for driving into Lando Norris? Stroll had a very similar incident with Lewis, but was far less dangerous due to the speed and the way Stroll positioned his car. But Charles was erratic and downright dangerous. A scary precedent set. And John Ayers asked a similar question about those incidents and what the appropriate penalty should have been. And just to add, this was all in FP3, so if you didn't watch FP3, you may not have seen this, because this was interesting.
Yeah, it's FP3. I don't know why people have to get so uppity in practice. It's only practice. These drivers getting so frustrated and doing silly things. I mean, the stewards ruled actually that what Leclerc did to Norris wasn't dangerous.
Pink,
they did rule
yellow,
it was erratic.
Black,
it did feel a little bit like they were just looking for a kind of consistency cop-out, really, and they had an incident to rule on with Stroll, which did seem like a lesser incident, and they went, yeah, it's erratic driving, not dangerous. Stroll admitted, actually, that he'd done it to make a point, but the stewards didn't use that intent, that admission of intent, to hang him, and they just went reprimand. I think they could have been harsher, but for whatever reason they decided not to be. And then with Leclerc, I think it looked like a deliberate chop to make a point. Leclerc was very insistent that it wasn't, and didn't make the same admission of intent in front of the stewards as Stroll did. I don't think the stewards bought that in their judgment. They said regardless of any apparent intent, so that led to me. That suggested to me that they thought maybe he was being a bit silly, but they couldn't get him to admit it. They decided it wasn't dangerous. I mean, the contact was light, but I mean, that's by the by, really, isn't it? You shouldn't be, however frustrated you are, you shouldn't be swerving deliberately towards other cars in erratic way. So I think both drivers, particularly Leclerc, could have been punished harsher for this if the stewards wanted to make a point.
I don't understand the fuck. I didn't see Charles Leclerc being annoyed or anything, so I don't see it. What the fuck does this come from? Lance Stroll. Maybe Man, from what I saw, it didn't look like either. So weird. Continue.
And set a different precedent about etiquette on track, but for whatever reason they decided to take the easy way out.
Yeah, I'm baffled by the approach to track etiquette. They punish all sorts of genuine, completely honest racing mistakes that I wouldn't penalise, but this, for me, if you want to have a swerve and make a point.
There was something in junior categories in Melbourne, wasn't there? I think there was an F3 driver, and they didn't punish him, but they said that they should have. It should have set a precedent that wasn't acceptable.
It's stupid, but the thing for me is, there's honest mistakes, and then there's just this. Obviously, neither meant there to be contact, but they were doing something a bit erratic to make a point. And my view as a steward would be, my view is the steward should be sold on that. Look, if you want to do one of those chops to make a point, fine. But if you misjudge it and you make contact, you're going to get a grid penalty, or you're even going to get benched in the next session or something, because for me that's just outside the range of normal behaviour.
Yeah, it was one where I felt like the eye test was important. That's what you needed to use to inform your judgment, rather than just looking at the absolute letter of the regulations.
Exactly, it's not.
But they're obsessed with consistency now because of the constant push for them to be more consistent. So, they're between a rock and a hard place, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. Very often the stewards are not the ones to blame. It's the wider thing. Right, a question I'll take now from Titan420.
Nice.
Who is another of our Patreon members, who says, Spain was the first time both Alpines got into Q3. Is this a false dawn, or is Alpine starting to get back on an upward trajectory with this car? Well, they have been on an upward trajectory. They've been getting a bit better, a little bit more convincing. I think this track suits them. Not too much curb content, not too much bumps. That's good for the car, just as it's good for the Sauber. So it's only a false dawn if you think being Q3 here means they're Q3 everywhere, because they won't be. But it is showing that Alpine are making progress.
They were top 10 in Canada, weren't they?
Yeah, exactly.
Racing the RBs who were nowhere here.
Exactly. So, I think a tidy job. They're up to 7th in the championship as well. So, yeah, positive for Alpine, but yeah, keep a sense of proportion in that it's not a complete transformation. This is going to be one of the better tracks, but yeah, that they are chipping away. Right, another of Mark's questions that I will take. So the last of Mark's questions, Nevin Knowles, again from Patreon, says, it's another race where Carlos Sainz putting his desires first cost the team. Leclerc had pace to fight for the podium.
True.
His useless fight with Carlos at the beginning cost not only Leclerc, but also the team. Sainz has a history of this behaviour. Silverstone, Austria 2022, China 2024. I believe this behaviour played a large part in both Mercedes and Red Bull passing on him because he doesn't play the team game and only cares for his results.
True.
I think...
Sainz fan there, do we think?
Well, I would say that nothing that you said there is kind of totally spurious by any stretch of imagination. I'd say it's maybe a slightly ungenerous interpretation analysis of Carlos Sainz. He does fight his own corner. There is a bit of that. Now he knows he's out of Ferrari.
He always does.
He is fighting his own corner a bit more. Charles Leclerc was a bit irritated about it, so no question.
Well, I think that's kind of fair enough, though, isn't it?
And I think in this scenario, yeah, he is putting himself first above the team. And I think he'll think, well, you know, if you were keeping me, I would serve the team.
Yeah,
so yeah, there's a little bit of that for Sainz, I think. But I don't think it's a catastrophic flaw or anything in him. It's every driver has moments like this. It's
situational, isn't it? And also, Fred Vasseur made the point afterwards that okay, this happened, but the damage was inconsequential. So you know, the contact was silly, but they got away with it. And yeah, okay, Leclerc was annoyed, but Sainz still let him through later in the race, so that he could attack the Mercedes with his better tyre compound. So Sainz did play the team game.
Spot the white.
It wasn't like he was just being completely obstinate from start to finish.
And we've got a couple more Sainz questions about off-track matters. Ben Ali Hartman says, it seemed like Williams had a tougher weekend than Sauber did. Do you think their relative performances will have any influence on Carlos Sainz's decision? It's only one race, but Spain being a gauge of the true pecking order of the field has been a major talking point for weeks. Do you think this weekend could be a deciding factor for him? And of course, this is about where he signs for next year, and there's a lot of rumour that there is now a hard deadline approaching and he has to make a decision in the next few days, although we have heard that sort of thing before because we've had a few D-days between races before, but it does seem like it's getting to
closing in.
Yeah, it's getting to the point where I think he has to make a decision.
Yeah, Christmas is coming, or I suppose it's not really Christmas for Sainz, is it? Because he wanted the Red Bull seat and that's gone.
I think it's just that the mad panic for those other group of drivers who are waiting for Sainz to decide.
Yeah,
and then they're all going to fight it out for Haas and Alpine and what's left.
Yeah, they're all waiting on him. I think the Williams performance this weekend won't have helped if he was leaning towards Williams, because, you know, as we mentioned earlier, it's a sort of return to some of the bad old days of last season. But it is a team that is in better shape than it was and is making progress. I mean, you could throw the same criticisms at Sauber. Okay, they had a relatively better weekend here, but they've had shocking weekends earlier in the season where they were, you know, bottom of Q1 and, you know, no hope, it looked like. So, you know, Williams are the team that have managed to score points this season. Their pit stops have been better. I think it's, you know, very short term, it's much of a muchness. Sainz's decision is more about what happens in the medium and longer term, and it's not an easy choice because, you know, with the 2026 rules coming and the rebiasing towards the engines and Mercedes maybe being ahead in that game, you know, being in a Mercedes customer team for that season could be quite a shrewd move, especially if they've solved some of these other, you know, problems they've got with manufacturing. There's low-hanging fruit for Williams, but of course an Audi works team, which is what Sauber will become in the longer term beyond 2026, offers in theory a lot more potential than a Williams customer team. So it's not an easy decision to make. I feel like if he wants a slightly better short-term competitive proposition, he's going to go for Williams. If he wants the bigger payday and the promise of a bigger step longer term, then he's going to pick Audi.
And I believe Carlos Sainz, he will probably 100% go to Williams if any new joins the team. If he doesn't, he will go to Audi. That's my opinion.
Final question on a similar topic from Jeff Fitzgerald, which I'll take. Should Carlos Sainz be considering Alpine as his next ride, given that they now appear to be consistently the best of the bad options available to him, at least from an on-track performance perspective? Well, he has considered Alpine. He's been very...
Does he have to sign with Flavio?
Well, he probably would have to. And in fact, Carlos Sainz Sr. was having a very conspicuous chat with Flavio Briatore just before midday today in the paddock. But yeah, I mean, they've...
Nice.
Carlos Sainz, when he says he has spoken to everyone and is looking at everything, he is telling the truth. Alpine was on the radar, and that it's always worth having a conversation. However, should he be considering that? I don't really see that Alpine offers anything that Audi wouldn't, let's say. If you want to have the works team, you know, I'd go with Audi personally. But...
A sharper short term, a sharper F1 operation
exactly,
as it stands,
exactly.
though. Enstone versus Hinville.
Yes,
you would pick Enstone, wouldn't you?
Yes, at the moment, but then if you look
Stripey
at potential,
pink.
So I think
the investment from Audi is definitely going to outweigh what Renault would put in.
But it comes down to currently the choice is effectively Audi or Williams.
Yeah.
And I don't think Alpine displaces either of those two, both of those two options for various arguments. But I think Alpine I would consider. I would speak with them. Briatore is coming in. He's going to play an active role, so it's worth checking, seeing what's going on.
There is
will do that,
pink.
but yeah, I don't think Alpine should be the place that
Nope,
goes to the top of the
shouldn't.
list. But still, Carlos Sainz picking from a bunch of disappointing options considering the level he's operating at. And then there's all these drivers: Esteban Ocon, Valtteri Bottas, even maybe Pierre Gasly, who's still potentially on the market, are all waiting on that happening so that things can go on there. And then you've got other,
fish.
I think Ollie Behrman's Haas is probably a done deal there. That's going to happen. There's no question about that. So it's just seeing what happens, and then does Jack Doohan get a seat, and does Haas miss out, and Kevin Magnussen get a reprieve and
does
stay?
Ocon end up with no drive?
Exactly, because the door's closed at Alpine, and he's not in a great position.
Boring.
Williams.
Sounds like green
on the Ocon option, but anything can change because there's a quite a neat number of drivers and seats. So. Let's see who wins that little flurry. But as soon as people know Sainz has actually decided and committed, there's going to be a number of driver managers and drivers and teams in a bit of a frenzy to work out where they end up. So that's going to be an interesting little end point of the driver.
Oh, it's soon done. But before that, we will look at this. 15, minus 15. Then we will have minus 42. 1,742 tropical fishes for the collection. But before that, we need to do the fun part. Go through them again to make sure I not made a mistake. But before that, we will finish this video. It's 49 seconds
Mark,
left.
of course, will be all over that at the race. Well, thanks to Ben and also to Mark, who unfortunately had to leave a little bit early owing to technical problems. Me and Ben are in the same room. Mark was connected via the wonders of modern communication technology, but the internet wasn't quite up to it in the end. If you'd like more from us, our YouTube channel's always packed with videos. We've got all sorts of podcasts, including Bring Back V10s, which is now heading into its 10th season, and there's loads to read on therace.com. And don't forget the hyphen if you're heading there. It's time now for us at the race to pack up and head to the second race of this triple header. So stay with us for everything you need to know.
That also will be a sprint race. Who fucking cares about that?
From the Austrian Grand Prix.
Yeah, go away. And now we can finish the last part of this stuff. Blockfish white. No, blockfish black and white. There were black and white. Or black we have. And there we have the white. Nice. Playfish. Purple white. Clayfish purple. Purple white. Oh, my nose is starting to be annoying again. Light grey, brown. Light grey, brown, light grey, brown. Red, purple. Light grey Magenta. Pink, lime, and there we have pink lime. Lewis Hamilton, Magenta, purple. Magenta, purple. Lewis Hamilton, grey, orange. There we grey, orange. Cool. Pink, brown. Pink, 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 pink. There we have pink. Pink, brown. Orange, lime. Orange, lime. Orange, purple. Purple, blue. Didn't purple was somewhere. Nope. Apparently misremembered that. There we have the purple. Purple, blue. And here we have the purple, blue. Green. Green, red. There we go, green, red. Okay, we need to do this. No. And then we do this. And now we can place down the fishes and then we can add it. Then I can fucking maybe learn why my nose is so fucking annoying. Oh yeah, fuck me, I need to 9, 10, 15, 17, 15, 42. Uh, 15, 57. Yes. Minus 15, so we are up 1,742 tropical fishes. So less than 1,000 left to catch. And then we're done. And then it's the next boring stuff to collect. Wonder when they will fix this bug. It's like so weird. Why? Stop having it in the game. Betty brown green. Betty black red. Blockfish black white. Clayfish purple white. Clayfish light gray brown. Dasher red purple. Dasher light gray magenta. Dasher pink lime. Flopper magenta purple. Flopper grey orange. Cob pink brown. Spotty orange lime. Spotty orange purple. Stripy purple blue. And then we have Sunstreak green red. And the tropical fish collection in this aquarium is just getting bigger and bigger. Not many fishes that are black. Now here we have one black fish. There we have one. That, yeah, one more. There we have also one. So many. And then one axolotl will just kill off everyone. That will be really depressing. Yeah, we have them. Oh, no. I have not placed... Oh my god, fuck me. No. This way, this way. The wood box is still down there. Fuck zombie. Me, my nose. No, don't right. God damn it. Shit. Uh, 1742. 1742. Let's write that down. 1742. Let's see, 1742. Go away. Yeah, so we are up 1,742 tropical fishes, and it's 42, 8, 58, 258. 958 more tropical fish are needed to be collected until we are done. So let's see, it should be, let's see how many hours is still left until it, you can say 6 hours, so 1 day and 6 hours until practice 1 for Formula 1 will start, and before that probably Formula 3 would have been, probably, and also a sprint race, so this weekend will probably be less fun than it could have been. And hopefully next time I'm live, I will not have this fucking nose problem. And hopefully I'll be less allergic on what the fuck I'm now allergic on.